So John Elway, like this
Yeah.
kind of scrawny guy going in, and everybody's like, why the hell would the Broncos draft this guy? And he just like had his own style. He performed over, like he had to make that team and the fan base believe in him, and he had to work his ass off. He got his ass kicked, and he became one of the best quarterbacks ever. But the whole story, and to the point of what he's saying, like the documentary was done so well. But yeah, he's making his own wine. He had his own restaurant chain and did really well. It seems like everything he touched goes to gold. And his car dealership chain. And yeah, so
it came up because as part of bringing in his wine, he came on and we did a podcast interview, and he talked about his history and what he did and how he got there. And as I'm interviewing him, I had like 20 windows open in the background. And all of a sudden, I start glitching out. Everything's freezing up, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm freezing up with LA here."
Oh no! Like you're dropping the ball. Oh,
like this is the worst. Jeez. So now I'm scrambling to close all the windows out.
Oh man.
This might be fun, actually. A little rapid fire.
Yeah. Well, because I just loosens it up a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So we got old world or new world. This is all personal preference too. So like, there's no wrong answer.
For sure. Yep. Personally, I'm gonna say I used to. If you asked me that maybe 10 years ago, I'd go new world. Right now, 100% old world. Right.
Okay.
I'm all in on Berg. I'm all in on Barolo, Piedmont. Those are my go-to regions right now.
Okay. Mostly reds or whites on the old world too.
You know what's funny? Right now, I'm really more on whites. I mean, I know it's like the trend and what's happening, but like white Berg, I can't get enough of it right now. And even before the summer started, this was still like winter into spring. I don't know what's going on, but palates change. You get older.
Well, I'm also seeing the new world kind of migrate, especially on the white side. The new world migrating to more old world style, which I prefer on the white side in particular. I've always drank white old world. That's been my preference. Whether it's searing acid Rieslings from Alsace or white Burgundy, Sancerre. There are some phenomenal whites, and I always was a little, I don't know, I get fatigued real quick from one glass of the classic California Chardonnay. Yeah, it's got impact on entry, but it's not a food wine, and I think that's at the end of the day, that's what I go for. Yeah,
I totally agree. And that, I've had this phase of Rhone Blancs, right? Like, Chateau Blancs, Gigondas Blancs that are just like, not only the acidity's there, but there's this roundness and fullness to those wines.
Yeah.
Almost something spicy that make them tremendous food wines and like really versatile with pairings.
So we're going to go off on a little tangent here, but we in Napa, we have a major issue with not having enough old world influence, or other regions for that matter, at a retail level in particular. So you're probably familiar with Gary's, right? Gary's Wine Shop. He's got a couple places down in New Jersey. He had taken over the old spot at where Dean and DeLuca was, and it was such a welcome event to have a number of wines. And he had like this great section that was like under $25, and you go in and you were able to just kind of be a little more casual about, I'm going to try just a smattering of randomness from all around the world, and not break the bank. And there were some true gems in there, and it, just as a winemaker and somebody who gets to taste the whole spectrum of top tier all the way down to your most pedestrian wines, it was great to have that option. So I'm hoping at some point somebody comes back into Napa and brings that vibe onto their shelves, rather than just we all love our grocery stores and all that in the West Coast, but there's just not there's no eclecticism, which I'm not always the biggest fan of that when it comes to like the som culture, but it is nice from a retail environment to have a little more of an array that cycles through and you try new things. You have great options out there. So yeah, that was a ton of fun. So I missed that.
I had a fun. Yeah, it totally makes sense, and I can understand it, right? Because that's what you all are growing and making, and that New World style. And it's I remember being out there years ago, and I was visiting White Rock vineyards right up on the behind Stag's Leap over there.
Yeah,
and everyone in that, it coming from New York, to me, there's nothing better than going out and visiting California, just being ensconced engulfed in the culture and the talk, and because everyone from the greeter at the tasting room to whoever's growing the grapes, they're all, everyone's just so into it and passionate and knowledgeable without being pretentious or over the top. And so I was with one of my wine broker friends, and we go to White Rock and we go through the tasting, and it's great. The Chard, the Claret, I forgot, the Laurentis Napa Cab Killer. And as we're leaving, my buddy goes to the tasting room manager. He's like, by the way, if you ever, want something outside of Napa stuff, I bring in some cool things. I bring in like Cru Beaujolais, and I bring in grower champagne. And so he goes through, he's like, what do you like to drink? And she's like, Cru Beaujolais and grower champagne. And it was like, whoa, look what this guy's got, right? Like outside of the norm that's going on out there. So it definitely resonates what you're saying.
Yeah, we are not myopic out here. We love the wines we produce, but we also like to know what everybody else is doing out there. So that's good.
I was also going to say that I got a funny kind of a Gary story just to throw out there for a little tangent.
Yeah.
Because since you mentioned him and we're like talking about like East Coast vibes and stuff like that, so Gary became our neighbor. A couple years ago, a few years ago, because they took over we were right next to a Dean DeLuca. They left, and then Gary took over. Yeah, so
the one on 29, right?
Yeah, on 29. So when he first came into town, we have our Copper Cane HQ, and a bunch of us wanted to get together and say, hey, let's go over and welcome Gary. He's there, in person, and just welcome to the neighborhood and everything. So we all go over there. And we're all like saying hi and introducing ourselves. We came in with like 10 people too. You could just tell people had just been coming in and out and just like, he was kind of on, I think, all day. And I kind of liked it because it was just reminded me. I used to live in Jersey and New York for a bit, so it was that kind of like style, that kind of like attitude that I missed. And when we're all kind of saying hi and everything, he's like, great. I mean, I really enjoy everyone coming in and saying hi and welcoming me in the community, but no one's buying anything.
Yeah,
like, why didn't we buy anything? So then I'm like sitting there, I'm like, okay, I got this guy. Like, I get you, Gary. I know what it's about. It's about business, right? So I'm just like, I'm going to buy some. I'm going to get some of this great coffee you got going here. I've been waiting for some good coffee to come right next door. I'm a big coffee guy, so I go over there. I order this, like, I don't know, like triple shot, like cappuccino, like, I'm just going to be all good. And then I realized I forgot my wallet. So then I'm there in front of Gary, like, I'm like, hey, Gary, I ordered this coffee, but I'm just going to run next door because I forgot my wallet. He's like, just take the coffee. Just take the coffee and let go. And so it was kind of funny that like we walked out there, welcome to the neighborhood. Thanks for the free coffee, but we will be back.
Free coffee.
Yeah. We will be back to support your business, but it was great.
He's got your picture up on the wall right now.
Yeah, I'm sure you were in the bag. He's like, do not serve this man. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, but that was great.
Next time he comes in, get him in the bag for dishes.
Yeah. You're gonna be making coffee for everybody else next. Yeah,
I gotta work off that cappuccino. I did.
All right. So I think I know the question or the answer to this next question. So Napa or Bordeaux?
Yeah. Napa or Bordeaux? That one is hard. That's not a snap easy. I would say Bordeaux because of the versatility. I think if we're talking like Napa Cab, right?
Yeah. Well, sorry, I'm going Napa Cab.
Yeah. I go to Bordeaux only because of the versatility of just left bank, right bank, so many different ranges, and I know there's different appellations. Now that being said, if you catch me 2 months after I come back from Napa, that answer's Napa.
Yeah. So it was what was amazing to me. You mentioned the versatility of Bordeaux. What was amazing to me was the first time I went there was 2003. And I figured it was something like Napa size-wise. It's like Napa County, Solano County, Sonoma County, Mendocino County all combined. Like you're driving 2.5 hours to get from one, like region or area to another. And I was like, oh shit, okay, they got like diversity is definitely there. Like, and Saint-Emilion was probably my favorite place in all of Bordeaux. But it was an interesting trek. So I realized real quick, Napa's pretty damn small. So yeah, we have some diversity, but not to the magnitude of that. Yeah. However, we can also produce some great Chardonnays and Pinot Noirs with Carneros. I don't know that Bordeaux can do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shots fired.
And
I gotta throw a positive
in. That's a soundbite.
and that to your point, Joe, they're certainly not going to try. right? They might try a Vin de France with something outside of the appellation or something like that. But
Yeah.
I'd be a great wine to try, a Bordeaux Pinot.
Oh God, that'd be wild. I mean, shit. I don't even know. Could they even call that a Vin de Paix?
Yeah.
They call it Vin de France.
They would call it Vin de France, and they could say if they were going to the American market, they could call it a Pinot Noir from France. But that's it. Then the story has to do the marketing.
The story has to do the marketing. I brought in a wine that was from a Bordeaux winemaker, and Odyssey, I can't remember the producer, but it was half Cab, half Syrah. So half Rhone Syrah, half Cab from, I want to say Saint Julien, and it's tremendous, and it's Vin de France because you can't do that, right? But it's a hard sell. It's hard to tell that story of Vin de France because it was a really well-made wine, and they didn't get scores. It was retail $60-$70 for Vin de France, and becomes a storytelling sale that when you get it in front of people and they taste it, they're like, yeah, that's freaking incredible, right? But just to tell the story at that price point, especially now, people aren't taking that chance as much.
Yeah, you gotta have like 5 people in the chain that are able to carry that story. That's one of the biggest hurdles in wine, and especially when you get into the more eclectic side of things. I mean, even just looking at kind of the American consumer mindset versus the European consumer mindset, and how they're so accustomed, or everybody's so accustomed to one thing or the other being, yes, we're all educated in wine, so we understand certain regions throughout Europe, let's just take France as an example, they're regulated to certain varieties that they can produce in those regions. And then here, and so there you buy Bordeaux, well, you don't know exactly what that blend is, but you know generally what it's made of, and you can probably find some details if you want to. Then you come here to the U.S. and everybody's saying like Napa is, I don't know, it's the most popular region in California, most well-known, most prestigious, so to speak. But people still, I think, equate Cabernet Sauvignon as being hierarchy-wise. Cabernet Sauvignon, I think, is more important to the consumer than even Napa is. So totally. It's funny to see that we are all producers of varietal, and they are producers of region. And we still have an issue educating people on that. I don't know if there's a solution to that, but what are your thoughts?
Maybe we'll figure it out in the next hour. Well,
yeah.
You know what? I give you a good example. So there's a wine that we rated as the best buy called Method, right? It's made by Precision, and great line of wines. And most of the juice, it's California Cab, but most of the juice is coming from various areas of Napa and Sonoma. So it's like, it can be California Cab when you're telling the story of, yeah, it's California. That's because the grapes are from 2 different regions, so it can't be called one or the other. So I think as long as it's sort of holding some of that provenance and pedigree, like people know where the grapes are coming from. And then I think a lot of it is just trusting the source and trusting, who your go-to guy is. And whether it's your Joe at the local wine shop who just knows your palate and puts you onto the right thing, or the right reviewer or the right publication, the more you get to trust what you like, regardless of, is it Napa, is it Sonoma, is it Mendocino? And it's just, that's the kind of wine that hits my palate, right? I feel like that's the path, right?
Yeah.
But it's
I mean, hell, if you can find a reliable person that starts to learn what you like, and they get something new in and they give you a call, like that's the best of the best scenario. Totally. I like guns. I shoot guns, and the gun shop that I go to, they've learned what I like. And so if they get something in, they'll give me a call. And here in California, we have some pretty heavy regulations like you guys do. So it's like, there was a period where you can only buy one gun every certain, number of days. I know that sounds like a lot, but anyway, but it was that level of service. I was like, I'm going to keep going back to those guys. I know I'm not getting the best deal that's out there, but they give me the service, and once I get to know you. So, and I think you guys have that on the East Coast much more than we do on the West Coast. Somebody looking out for you. And that's the beauty of independent retail, I would say, as well.
Sure. But I think that's also because people are members of so many more wineries and wine clubs, and going out to the ones that they enjoy, right, without having to hit the retail spots as often. You tell me, but like when I'm out there, I never go to a wine shop because I'm only out there for a handful of days. So I'm like, how many wineries can I pack into 3 days to get there? But I would have to, here in Westchester, the closest winery that if you want to go is an hour away, right? So you have to be dependent on wine retail, whether it's in person or e-commerce. Whereas in California, you have so many more resources and just places to go. And let's hit this winery, and then you walk out with a case, right? I mean, that's pretty common.
That is pretty common. That is pretty fun too. I do think that one other point that I'd like to make on this is that the consumers don't understand that the reason for the way America labels its wine versus other countries, namely Europe, it's a regulatory issue. It's not by preference. I think that fact alone is something that if people are hearing what is the reason for it, it's because the way that their regulations in France work and how they monitor and allow only certain things to be done within their regions or varietals per region. Here in California, we have some other elements that are tighter, but a lot of other elements that are much looser in the sense of us being able to varietally state and then appellate and vintage date wine. So, regulation is the key factor in what is really screwing up, I think, more cohesive marketing and global wine.
I totally agree. And I always go back to the Super Tuscan story, right? Where the Ornelas and the Italian, they were just like, you know what? We don't need Chianti. It's all right. We're good. We're going to grow what we want, and we're going to make what we want because we know our wines are that good. Which I don't know if it's not happened or hasn't been successful in Bordeaux. And I've seen some of it in Burgundy where it's just like, declassified certain appellation Pinot, which is fantastic. But like that rogue winemaker spirit that really worked. I don't know if that's worked anywhere else yet instead of outside of that original like Super Tuscan group,
Yeah, that was very cool when that started up. I think the only other one that I would kind of point to would be that new guard that came in probably like late 90s, early 2000s into Portugal in general. They were having a hell of a time selling fortified wine or port. And they started using their old world varietals to make these powerful reds that and they still are. They're beautiful wines.
Totally.
You don't get to see them that often. And they're whites. I will also say they've got some goddamn good, brisk, brilliant whites. But it's
like you said. Where do you see them? Like they're so hard to find here.
That's the problem.
Right? Especially
so hard to find now. So hard to find now. Those brilliant bright whites.
Yeah, but now I can find a Certico almost everywhere I fucking go. Like, what is Greece doing that Portugal forgot about?
God, so funny, right? Certico is like flourishing all over here, right? And Ariortico, right? There's more Ariortico that I see in New York than I do than a Douro Red. It's crazy.
Yeah. Bring those Douro Reds back.
Dude, I love that we're having a blast. So we get like a good introduction in just for those that are.
Oh shit! Yeah, you want me to, dude? I've only gotten through 2 of the rapid fire.
I'm thinking, dude, that's the funny thing. We always like laugh at ourselves. Like people are getting to know that Go With Your Palate. This is so rapid.
Well, and our version of rapid fire is like a 20-minute conversation. That's
right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So welcome to Go With Your Palate. Thank you very much for being here. We got a special guest today. We got Marshall Tilden III.
Yes.
And we got to go through your credentials. You are the president of Wine Express and Wine Education at Wine Enthusiast. Did I get all that right?
Yeah, it did. Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me here, man.
That is awesome. One of the very few and proud publications that is out there educating people on wine around the world through Wine Enthusiast. It's been a longtime favorite of ours as well. And then on the Wine Express side, you are overseeing a good portion of retail, or maybe I'll call e-com, direct consumer business. Is that mostly in the wine side, or are you also in kind of the wine trinkets as well?
No. Well, so Wine Enthusiast, and thanks again for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's gonna be great. So, wine trinkets. I like that term. So there's there's actually three arms, well, four now. There's Wine Enthusiast magazine, media, ratings, reviews, events, right? That's probably the most well-known. And then there's Wine Enthusiast Commerce, which is accessories, glassware, wine storage, wine cellars, wine racks, which is actually the biggest part of the business, which people are usually surprised at.
I did not know that. All right.
Yeah, so that's actually the beast of what we do. We have 5 warehouses. We sell thousands of wine cellars to consumers, catalogs, to B2B. And then there's Wine Express, which is the wine retail shop of Wine Enthusiasts. And it actually came about because we had such a big wine storage business that people were like, well, can you just sell me some wine too? And the owner, Adam Strum, was at the time, they were like, well, yeah, we probably should do that, right? So they created a wine retail shop, right? And it is e-commerce, right? There's always a store, but we're really an e-commerce platform for wine retail. And then Cork and Compass is the newest. So Cork and Compass is travel, because we're seeing experiences and, just wine country excursions were becoming so popular. So now you can go to Sicily, you can go to Tuscany, you can go to Bordeaux, you can go to Burgundy and be hosted by a wine enthusiast reviewer and editor, and they'll give master classes. You walk to the vineyards, you talk to the winemakers. It's a really, luxury wine travel experience. So those are sort of, we're trying to give everything just wine culture, wine related, that people are looking for all in one-stop shop.
I do love that Cork and Compass idea, and that curated experience where you kind of take some of the guesswork out, but you're going to have a goddamn great experience. Because I always say this, you go to any wine region, you're going to be greeted with great hospitality, great wine, great food, great ambiance, and beauty around you. Totally. And if you want to travel and also fall in love with something, wine is the way to go. Yeah. So okay. So I did want to ask about the before we get into how you got where you're at. When it comes to Wine Express, how does that work? And are you curating certain bottles for your wine club members that are getting a shipment, and what your deal structure? I mean, how much can you divulge about the inner workings of what's going on there?
Sure. Yeah. So it's interesting. Wine is, in terms of a retail business, right now it's tough, right? It's tough on the sense that people are just overall, unfortunately, not drinking enough wine, but there's become such a competitive structure online to just pricing that it's really great for consumers, makes it really difficult to actually make money in the business right now. You have just monsters out there of Total Wine and Costco that are doing so much volume of mainstay names. And what we've tried to do is provide what our wine enthusiast customers are looking for, people who are collecting, people who are reading, and they read a review on, I don't know, on a wine, and it gets X amount of points, and it could be from us, could be from Spectator, whoever, and they want to buy it. But then all of a sudden, you look at what you have to bring it in for cost and how much you have to sell it for, and you're like, I might lose money on this deal after I have to ship this wine to this customer, and then does it become worth it, right? So what we try to do, and what I try to do in Wine Express, because I really taste everything that comes through, to make sure that not only I like it, that knowing our customers' palate, that they'll enjoy it too, is to try and find these values. And as you guys know, there's a lot of wine out there right now.
Yeah,
So, there's a lot of unlabeled, there's a lot of just juice. And so I'll try and find things that I know are values. Some have scores, some don't, but I know are values compared to things that people know. Right. So if somebody knows they love Prisoner, somebody knows they love Silver Oak. Well, let me taste this cab that's from Napa. And wow, that really tastes pretty similar, but maybe is going to be a little bit less because it doesn't have the same marketing dollars behind it. Right. So then it just becomes sort of a trust thing of, all right, if you like these wines, try these. And if you like them, then we're saving a lot of money. And maybe you come back for another shot at it. Right. So that's sort of the Wine Express culture. And we do make samplers, and we do have clubs based on, different price points and those kind of things. But it's more about finding discovery and wines you probably never heard of, and giving them a shot sort of blindly, which is an interesting marketing situation to handle, right?
Well, yeah, you could say it's blind from the consumer standpoint, but it's also them putting their the confidence behind you, and if they like what you've been providing in the past, they're likely going to like it in the future. And maybe not every wine is a perfect fit for their palate, but wine is an experience, and part of the journey is the joy of it. So from the levels of club, you guys do like a case a quarter is like what are the different levels of what you guys offer?
Clubs actually weren't really a mainstay for us as much as sampler packs. So we have customers that come back to our recommendations, and what we offer is really a customized club experience a lot of times. So if someone, we know they like Napa Cab, we'll bring in different ones and set up a sampler for that month, right? And that'll be the sampler month. And so it's anywhere from 3 bottles to, 6 packs. Cases, not as much. We find the cases were dwindling off because it was just too much wine. And part of what happened, and it was part of our wine storage story, is we found out, and we worked with some wineries, is that people stopped getting the bigger shipments because they just didn't have storage for it. Right. All of a sudden they'd just be sitting, 2 cases outside of their wine coolers, and so that's where we everything is symbiotic, right? So if people are buying wine, they don't have enough room for it. Well, that's really interesting because we just have some wine coolers that might help your situation, right? So it becomes that one-stop shop, right? Our tagline for years ago was your source for everything wine, which I used to love. It was just a great way to put that. Your education, your entertainment, your wine storage, your wine, your travel, your experiences. Just come here and we got you covered for everything, right?
Yeah, you created a universe. I think that's a beautiful thing. That's people want simplicity, and they want as high level of a touch as you can provide, and also the understanding that they can rely upon your guidance. I think you can't get better than that.
And it's really a credit to the Strong family. So Adam and Sybil created this in their garage, 1979, because they were looking for openers and glasses, and then back then you couldn't find them, right? So they said, "This is crazy. We should be able to just sell these," and so they created this out of their garage. Decades later, it became this, like you said, this Wine Enthusiast universe. Their daughters, Erica and Jackie, are taking over the 2 channels, Erica for commerce and Jackie for media. And it's really it's an incredible story, an incredible family story of how Wine Enthusiast not only came about, but the next generation it's being passed on to, and how to make sure things are unified, that we are one universe, but making sure also that, people are aware of all we do, because you'll find, we joke about it here all the time, people know one or the other, right? They know we sell wine cellars, but they didn't realize we have a magazine, or they know we do ratings, but they didn't know that we sell wine. So, trying to get everyone to understand that, we got it all, guys. We can do whatever you need.
It would be kind of crazy to see someone that took the avenue where they're like, I knew you did wine storage, but you do ratings?
Yeah.
Just for some guys that grew up here, we're just like, oh, wow.
Well, so you think about it, right? When a wine, like a restaurant appliance, like restaurant appliance or appliance dealers that are going in and opening a new restaurant, right? And they're looking for 6, Vino View wine sellers or 6 Eurocup sellers, and they say, oh, well, there's Wine Enthusiast. I have to come to them because that's their brand, their sellers. That's what's being specced out. And then they buy it all, and then we send the magazine. They're like, oh, you guys rate wine? You review wine? You have articles about wine too? Because they're not in the wine industry, but then they might be into wine, and then all of a sudden, oh, look at this new world that just opened up for me. So that's really our biggest challenge: is how do we get everybody, under one umbrella, knowing about everything that we can do. So it's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm curious about is, as we all know, wine has been going through a tumultuous time. Everybody's been seeing. There's some shiny spots out there, but by and large, like it's pretty rough. I mean, we're seeing vineyards being torn out left and right out here, and balance is coming. That's how I feel. Bottom is coming, and we're holding our own. I'm really, really proud of our whole team, our wines, but nonetheless, the industry is not in a healthy place. And if the industry is in a healthy place, we're all doing great, right? So I would love nothing more for that to happen as soon as possible. But what have you guys seen from your level of that magnitude, whatever it may be, of impressions and just how many people you touch and work with? how have you seen that move in the last, say, 5 years, or maybe even going kind of pre-COVID, post-COVID to now?
Yeah, I mean that's how we really have to look at it, right? Because COVID for us, people stopped going out to restaurants, people couldn't travel, and so they stayed home. So all the, monies that they were spending to go away, they were now not only beautifying their home, but just getting wine shipped to their door, because that became what you did, right? You sat home, you drank wine, you made your backyard your vacation spot, and everyone, upgraded what their living scenario was. And then once COVID was done, everyone was like, get me out of the freaking house. Right now, I'm going to Europe, I'm going out to dinner every night. And so, it was a peak and valley. So yeah, it feels like it's been evening out, and we always compare to like the pre-COVID and the post-COVID. It's interesting now, and you read about it everywhere. The Gen Z, the millennials, what are they doing? What are they drinking? Are they drinking? So we see a wine enthusiast customer, like someone who's into wine storage and collecting, and maybe a little bit different than somebody who's following us on social, looking at like the cocktail recipes and some of the more fun stuff that we do. So our span is huge, right? We're trying to touch everyone along their journey, right? We're trying to touch someone who's just had their first wine and they're like, ooh, that's interesting. What's that? Right? Because it's not a seltzer or whatever it is that they're drinking. And then, oh, you want to know more about that? Great. Come on in. Let us tell you, right? Let us not even tell you. Let us share with you some of the things that we've found out and see if it's interesting to you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's a great route. If you guys got that at your fingertips, that's the way you get people curious and then let them dive in.
Oh, sorry, because we do it from that side, the media side, and then also from the collecting side, because all of a sudden someone goes to Napa, someone comes to visit you guys, and they love the wine, they've had the experience, they buy 2 cases of wine, and they come home and they're like, well, what am I going to do with this, right? So that's when you have the small little compact wine cellars that hold 12 bottles, 24 bottles, and now all of a sudden someone has their first wine cooler, right, in their apartment, in their home that holds 2 cases. And it's like, it's a big deal, right? It's a big moment that they're now collecting wine. So we're really trying to, bring them into the wine world early on in the journey, and then just be there along the way for everything that they need.
Yeah, and I think that there's something I've been thinking about recently, and how to kind of showcase it, is that there's like the wine moment, right? And we talk about it whether it's going to your cellar and you're really proud of the wines that you've brought in, whether it's a case or 2 cases or 2,000 bottles, and you grab one that you think you're going to enjoy with whatever you're going with, your company and your food that night, and then you open it and you have that first smell, that first taste, the first look. You talk about it. It's a pretty brief moment, really, but call it 30 seconds to 60 seconds. That's the moment where everything stops, everything slows down. And then after that, it kind of resets the tone, right? I think that's one of the most beautiful parts about it, and that's where I think people, once they get hooked on that, it's not just like an aspirational element of wine; it becomes part of lifestyle.
Totally, wine lifestyle. Talk about it all the time.
And I was going to talk about too, because we've brought up the generations, and there's been a lot of talk about them drinking less, or simplifying this educational piece, which I think that you're killing it on, especially in social media.
Yeah.
Because I think like growing up here and stuff, and we've talked about it a lot, it really wasn't for me until I moved out like right after high school and lived a city life that I realized there was a pretentiousness around this wine world. It was kind of like growing up here was just farmers first. They just happened to farm grapes, and that's just kind of what you did. So what I love is what you're doing is like, first of all, making it very digestible to take this like education, and even if people are interested in what is a WSET, which I hope we can also get into too in the educational piece, but like really breaking it down like Blick. I thought that was like really great. That's already like stuck in my head, right? And the balance, length, complexity, and now I'm like I'm blanking on the intensity, yeah. And thank you, but I'm like, just spell it out, Chris. It's right there for you, and you just But anyways, but that's cool, right? Because it kind of like it's less than a minute. And you can kind of like break down this thing of when people are looking like, why am I going to get this more expensive bottle compared to this this less expensive? What's making the difference? So if you want to speak upon that a little bit more too, like how you got there, did you see it evolve, and have you seen that you've gotten to getting them shorter and shorter, find these little tricks?
Yeah, no, thank you very much, by the way. I appreciate it because, it's mildly intentional, but it's just how I talk about wine passionately, right? Like it came out naturally. So I don't know if anyone remembers, but for Wine Express, Josh Farrell was here, and he was the wine director for years. He was my best friend. He passed away of pancreatic cancer a few years ago, and so I was always helping him on the back end on, what are we going to bring in? What do we like? Can we sell it? Can we market it? All this kind of stuff. And Josh had these really long, if you go back and look at them, these really long, like 5, 6, 7-minute videos. And he was very calming and like ASMR, right? Like that was how he was doing it. And it was great. Like he was like the Bob Ross of wine video. And so I'm watching him, and I'm like, he was like my mentor. I got so much information from him. He was just so smart about wine. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do it like that. I'm like, I don't know if I can talk that slow or that soft. And so I came out and just started doing my style, but I thought it had to be long because that's how he was doing it. Right. And then the more we were just doing videos, I'm like, do people really care about like not only the elevation, but what the yields per liter and this? And I'm like, why don't we just simplify this just a little bit? Because there's like wine geek talk like that I can get into and love it, but the masses don't really want to get in that deep, right? They want to get into what's the wine taste like, where's it from, why am I going to like it, and where's the value, or what are the hitting points. So I'd say it was purposeful in the sense I'm like, I need to keep it under 2 minutes. Although sometimes I'm like, I need to keep it under 2 minutes. But it was more just like, how do I make it really approachable? And you use the word, how do we lose the pretension, right? How do we put it out there so people don't feel like, and I don't really understand. And then they get that intimidated feel of like, I'll just stick with vodka, right?
Oh, that's a sad comment, man. That breaks my heart.
Yeah, we'll stick with charcoal filter.
Stick with this.
But I'll do it with friends at restaurants. They'll like, we'll get a bottle, and they'll be like, what do you taste? What are you getting? And like, when I do it, all of a sudden, we'll drink like 2 or 3 bottles. Because all of a sudden, like you said, Joe, you're making it the experience, right? You're putting it out in front where those moments are becoming enjoyable not because someone's telling you what you need to smell or taste, but just giving some very easy insight that allows you, for your palate and your own just, enjoyment measure to really feel what's going on in that moment. And that's what's important.
Yeah, and that kind of moment, I mean, the power of suggestion is real. Once people click with something that you give them the idea of, and given that it takes a long time to develop your palate and to be able to call out those. I think that was the hardest thing for me to overcome as, I hate to say it, but like as a teen, but trying to learn how to decipher through notes, aromatics, flavors, and then learning textures and balance later. But being able to actually verbalize that and go into your catalog of what those characters are, once you get people down that road and they start to get confidence in their own palate and realize, oh yeah, I do get that. Like, oh yeah, that does have like some mocha characters. I do get some coconut. Then they start to realize like, okay, I actually have this. I just need to develop it. And actually, I've got these like these sheets that have every varietal on them, and then kind of like all the spectrum of potential common flavors. Yeah, it's like a wheel. It's like that, but visualized, I guess. And they're great. Like I used to use them for people that had just come in. I'm like, I want you just to look at this. You're tasting this Chardonnay, and just look at each one of these elements that they're calling out, and see if you pick any of them up. And that was a different way to kind of categorize power of suggestion, but it did help them develop their palate. And you're doing the same. I mean, yeah, your social media is phenomenal. And I mean, I think we're both doing a good job.
I really appreciate that coming from you, Joe. I do, because I feel the same about yours. It's awesome. Right? Stuff.
I mean, I just can't believe that people are watching you and I, these two like kind of middle-aged guys, like talking.
I I know.
Hey, you're young at heart.
We're young.
You guys moisturize.
I'm 25. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, wait,
Well, on that point, you've got kids, right?
Yeah.
And are they of age to consume?
No, they're 16 and 14. So my son just got his permit. So that's been an interesting couple months. It's fun, slightly scary, and a couple near-death experiences. But no, I grew up. Even though my name is very English, I grew up in an Italian family. My dad didn't have any family, like not a sister, nothing. And so he got taken into my mom's family, which is Memoli, who came from Napoli. And so we had Sunday dinners literally every week at my grandparents. And there was always Chianti on the table. There was always, wine. It was part of our culture. And so, by 13, 14, you're not drinking, but you're having a little bit of wine with dinner, right? So I'm of that European mind of I don't like the taboo. The taboo I feel is dangerous, especially in this day and age, because there's just so much access to so many dangerous things out there.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a rough thing, to be in a wine industry and have kids, and to make it understandable without making it to a point where, like anything else, you tell someone not to do something, the first thing they want to do is do it.
Yeah. Yep.
He's got 6. I think you know that too.
I've got 6. None of them are of legal drinking age, but it is.
How old are your oldest?
I got twins that are 20 and then down to 12. So it's twins that are 20, 18, 17, 15, and 12. So, but yeah, we did take that European mentality and kind of culture and, have them start learning about it even at an early age, smelling and seeing the difference. And I would categorize, I'd pull, like 5 different rosés. And that's kind of how from all around the world. 5 different sparklings, 5 different, Cabernets, and have them kind of smell and go through and give me their thoughts. And it was even, I remember it I probably shouldn't say, at like a very young age, just seeing there's a purity to their palate or their ability to smell and decipher that, and I no joke, it got lost at some time like 10 to 14, but it was still back there. But I've got videos of them like smelling wines, and like Dominic, who's now 17, he would just like spew out like, I smell this, and this, and I'm like, holy shit, you got a super palate, dude. What?
You're all over it.
We got to develop this, and he's got it back, but but back then there was just no, and I think this goes back to the pretension point. There was nothing holding him back from being able to say whatever was coming to his mind. He didn't feel that there was a bit of embarrassment. He could have said it tasted or smelled like shit. And, and he wouldn't have cared.
That was it. He knew.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
I use to your point, I use first off, my daughter had the best one. I had her smelling something when babies when they were young, just literally putting their nose. I'm like, oh, what does it smell like? And she's like, oh, grapes and hand sanitizer. I'm like, huh.
I love it.
I'm like, it's kind of what it is,
would it hit the tasting notes? I don't know, like with that in the aromas,
We should just do that. Just release a wine and just be like, the tasting notes are grapes and hand sanitizer.
I'll tell you what though, that would have flew off the shelves during COVID. It's clean. We're safe here, right here. This sanitizer shit.
Hey, what were people supposed to be drinking? Was it Clorox? What was it?
They were using bleach on their food and
crazy.
Bleaching their vegetables and stuff. But Marshall, actually, you did touch on something great that I would kind of like to dive into a little bit. This kind of like Italian upbringing. So you were introduced to wine at a young age. Would you say that was kind of what the path was already led to you there, like kind of for this career?
It definitely started that way.
Is this really the end? Unbelievable. Find out next week.